Developed by Treyarch and published by Activision, Black Ops 6 is the 6th Call of Duty game in the Black Ops 6 series among the Call of Duty franchise. It initially released on the 25th of November on all platforms, including Game Pass for Xbox and PC. The overall storyline to Black Ops 6 is pretty dark and has a bunch of plot twists. Be warned that the following will contain spoilers. Black Ops 6 features 7 different timelines throughout the campaign, including the Cold War and Black Ops 2 flashbacks. But the start of the game is in the first Black Ops timeline from 1961 to 1968. Kuwait in 1991, Troy Marshall, Jane Harrow, and William Case Calderon are after a man by the name of Saeed Alawi. He has a target on his back from the Pantheon, and they've been assigned by the CIA to bring him in to figure out what Saddam Hussein is planning alive. However, things go south as he's captured when this happens.
No, 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 no!
Adler!
Stand down!
Wait till Woods gets a load of this.
Adler explains that Alawi is valuable to the Pantheon, so we have to get rid of him. He also explains that the Pantheon has infiltrated the CIA, which is the mole he's referring to. Before they continue on, Adler has a message for Woods.
Tell him Bishop takes Rook. The hell's that supposed to mean?
Woods says he has no idea what he means at the time. Livingston then suspends Troy, Jane, Case, and Woods for disobeying orders and getting their target killed. They then meet in Jane's office where Jane is curious on what Woods knows. Fortunately, this is the case where Woods does know what Bishop takes Rook means. Basically, there's a safe house in Bulgaria where Adler was hiding out when he was framed for the killing of Alex Mason. So Bishop, being Adler, takes Rook, Woods, to the safe house in Bulgaria. Don't know how they worked that one out, but they did. While in the safe house, Adler leaves some clues for future team members, one of them being Savati Dumar. Basically, she's an assassin from a place called Avalon, where it's mainly run by crime families, and that's all you need to know. We meet her and do a mission for her where we take out a crime boss by the name of Yannick. The slow-mo bullet travel to kill is probably the sickest part of the game, by the way. But anyway, after that, she joins the team while Marshall went to Munich to recruit an IT guy by the name of Felix Newman. So with the team formed, Adler was taken into holding by the CIA after he killed Alawi, and funnily enough, he's being held in a black site below Capitol Station in Washington DC. So we have to sneak in and look the part in this political event happening. To take a pic of the senator's eyes to gain access to the black site, somehow the technology inside the camera is able to be recognized by the retinal scanner. There's 3 different ways to obtain this picture, but nonetheless, once you gain access to the black site where Adler is being held at, we quickly realize someone else was here before us. The Pantheon. They were trying to get to him before us, but we managed to get him out before they could get to him, luckily. We successfully bring him back to the safe house, and during a meeting, he tells us more about Alawi and Hussein working together, and mentions something called the Cradle, which affects Case once mentioned, strangely enough, almost like a trigger word. Anyway, in order to find out more about this Cradle bioweapon, we need to head to Iraq and break into one of Saddam Hussein's palace and see what it's all about. Once we head into Hussein's bunker and see a bunch of gold everywhere, the room in front of us seems like some kind of experimentation room of some sort, with a briefcase sitting on the table, which turns out to be a sample of the Cradle bioweapon. Adler seems to know a lot about what it is and mentions there's a floppy disk that we later give to Felix to decrypt, and also mentions who's leading the project when he mentions a certain name.
It's headed by Matvey Gusev.
Sounds like you know him.
I recognize the name. Gusev was a scientist in the Soviet Union's biological weapons program, Biopreparat.
This will make sense later. Adler also reveals some interesting information.
According to this, the Cradle came from somewhere else. A research facility I'm familiar with. It's American.
American.
This is where it gets crazy. From all this information we now know, the facility that made the Cradle is located in Kentucky in the US, and the facility is called Advanced Technologies and Application. Following Marshall's lead heading up the elevator shaft, the ladder breaks, causing Case to fall and his gas mask to break. Once we come to, this is where the real horror and the worst mission begins in my opinion. But anyway, there are a bunch of mannequins around and there's some yellow colored gas all over that we're exposed to. This gas is the Cradle. The Advanced Technologies and Application facility we're in is abandoned due to the gas leaking and creating some scary problems. After being exposed to this gas and experiencing some crazy hallucinations from zombies to mega abominations and so on, we discover more about Case throughout various reports of us hallucinating, indicating that we were the first the Cradle experiment. Further evidence supporting this is when you're in the desert destroying the SAM site. There's voice logs in certain places which has a doctor documenting his experiment from 10 years ago, day by day.
Day 1 of the October trials. Our 2 subjects, brothers, began exposure. Patient A, through injection, and patient patient B through inhalation. Their pupils are dilated, but vitals are stable. Results to follow. Day 2. Patient A, injection, tried to escape. We restrained him, but he's demanding to be with his brother. The doctor thinks we can bargain with him and his brother in exchange for his cooperation. Results to follow. Day 3. We moved the brothers to the same lab. They're restrained, but cooperative. The patient B, inhalation, is easier to work with. We upped his dosage and then noticed a violent... The doctor! Get the doctor! Day 4. Patient A is deceased. Patient B broke free of his restraints, strangled his brother, and killed himself. I thought I was prepared for this after the incident 10 years ago. I don't know. Tomorrow we start over. Inhalation only. Results to follow.
And then the voice in her head says this.
Don't worry, the cradle can't hurt us anymore. We're special. Special since we first experienced the cradle. 10 years ago.
So Case is called Case because he's literally a case. The first human to be experimented on to be turned into a super soldier. However, Case somehow turned out okay, and then they decided they wanted to make the cradle more aggressive. After collecting the 4 keycards from the facility and escaping the craziness, we head back to the safe house where Felix has cracked the floppy disk, and what we find on it is an example of the cradle more aggressive, where a soldier is being overly aggressive to someone else while they are being controlled by the cradle. However, this is where the biggest plot twist of the game happens. When the camera pans over, we find out that our CIA handler, Jane Harrow, has been behind this experimental project this entire time. After reviewing a piece of audio from the handy Felix, we learned that there's a faction in Avalon Adler believed to be connected to the Pantheon, which is the Lutazis, an Italian crime family. They have a casino in Avalon in which they have something in a safety deposit box that is very valuable to us. So we head to the casino to pull off a heist, and honestly, this was one of the best missions in the game. Anyway, once we successfully grabbed the document we need from the deposit box, while we were busy pulling off a heist, Adler was in Iraq trying to locate Matvey Gusev, the man behind the whole cradle experiment. However, when he got there, he fled, but to an airport. So we make our way there to stop him before he can successfully flee. I do want to say that the way we stopped him was cool as fuck. A goddamn tank, bro.
Fuck that guy! Target hit! Plane is grounded.
Anyway, we capture him and interrogate him in the most aggressive way possible, and the information we find out is super interesting. It wasn't about what they were doing to the weapon, it was where it was being made, and funnily enough, the lab is in Vorkuta, a former prison camp. When we head to Vorkuta, it turns out there is someone else there as well who was none other than Jane Bloody Harrow.
We've done what we came here to do. The weapon has shipped. Now we evacuate before the CIA or the Soviets learn we're here. Clear enough?
Yes, ma'am.
Things have been quiet around here, but I don't expect that to last much longer. Come with me.
So not only are we trying to infiltrate the facility or lab, we're also trying to capture Jane. And once we do and bring her back to the safe house, Adler prepares to inject her with something he's been cooking up, which is none other than MK Ultra. Yes, you heard me right. He's going to use MK Ultra on her to find out the truth about the cradle and put a rest to this once and for all. Once Jane is injected and we tap into her mind, we go on this wild ride through Jane's childhood, where we find out her parents were murdered by someone working within the CIA. It could be Russell Adler from this dialogue we see later.
Targets eliminated.
Anything else?
Negative. We're done here.
But it's just one of those questions left unanswered and probably done on purpose. In the middle of trying to figure out more on Jane's parents and the cradle in general, the safe house gets attacked by Pantheon to save Jane because she has a tracker on her, and it led them here. But after all that and towards the end of it all, we learn Jane joined the CIA to find out what happened to her parents, and then we receive a knock on the door and a floppy disk slid under it, which shows us everything to do with Jane's parents on how it was orchestrated, and that it was someone within the CIA, that it could be Adler. With all this information being revealed, we learned the Pantheon took her in and told her their plans for the agency, that they plan to launch an attack on America with the chemical weapon and wreak havoc. But once all this information was revealed to us, the Pantheon manages to successfully infiltrate the safe house and Woods unfortunately gets stabbed. But luckily, Jane doesn't get far and we manage to catch up to her and end up getting inside the chopper she's in. While they're fighting, Jane shoots and kills the pilot, making the chopper lose control and sending them to crash into the ocean. Somehow there is a vial of the cradle sitting in the chopper. God knows why. But we use it to our advantage, smash Jane in the head with it, which causes the gas to leak out from it and makes us turn crazy again, as if we haven't been exposed to it before. So we end up getting violent and attack Jane aggressively, choking her and about to kill her. Just before that happens, the game fades to black and then we get met with text that reads 2 weeks later. Everyone from the safe house ends up meeting with Daniel Livingston. They somehow ended up getting in contact with him and he ended up helping the crew get out of their mess with the Pantheon. He goes on to say they can stay in the shadows and have all the resources in the world at their disposal, as there is still a Pantheon threat at large within the CIA. So basically what we were dealing with was only the tip of the iceberg. After all that, the camera pans to a room inside the CIA offices. The alleged threat is inside Livingston's office trying to access some top secret files. As for who the person actually is, no one knows. There's a few theories going around about it. One theory is it's Jackson Kane for the seasonal story throughout the seasons, and another is it's actually Case. Some evidence suggesting that is at the beginning of the game, everyone who was involved in the Kuwait mission was inside the interrogation room. In a certain camera angle shown, we can see someone else off to the side, kinda not too involved by recording the session going on. There's speculation that this is actually Case because he was a part of the mission in Kuwait, but we don't see him in the room. So I guess the ending is left unanswered for now, probably a business decision made by the higher ups, which is typical. But to recap, the two theories on the ending is either the person is Jackson Kane and the story is going to continue throughout the seasons of Black Ops 6, or it's actually Case and we've seen him in the interrogation room at the start of the game. Anyway, that is the lore behind the Black Ops 6 campaign. If you have any other theories about the ending or about Black Ops 6 in general, feel free to leave it in the comments. But other than that, like and subscribe if you're new for more content like this, and I will see you legends in the next one. Peace.